This video was shot from a nearby apartment building looking down onto the North Chestnut Street.
Sorry, it's just YouTube.
Okay.
And you're good to go.
Okay, does someone need to mute? Because I'm hearing either TV or radio. The meeting is called to order. This is a special meeting of the Citizens Police Review Board on August 10th. And we have several items that are holdovers from our regular board meeting on July 27th. It's a short agenda, but there are two very important items that we need to cover tonight. First of all, Ms. Pittinger needs to complete the report she was giving during the last board meeting in response to not only the auditor's report, but also the meeting that Councilman Burgess held regarding moving forward with the recommendations that were approved during the fall. No, they were approved. Yeah, it was in the fall. Wasn't it in the fall, Beth?
The controller's performance audit report was issued in May.
In May, okay.
They were here with us since for a year, inclusive of the fall.
Okay. But the referendum was voted on, when was that?
Yes, ma'am, you were right. November 8th in the fall.
In the fall, okay.
Yes,
all right.
and
Yeah.
that expanded the board's mission.
Powers,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So the meeting that was held was to discuss exactly how that could be considered, along with the recommendations that came out of the audit. So Ms. Pittinger, if you could please complete your report on your recommendations for the Citizens Police Review Board and staff.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that, Madam Chair. Thank you. Before I bring up the PowerPoint to run through very quickly for members that were not here, and it was distributed to all of you, I believe, the proposal itself was. But I wanted to report that the referendum proposal that had been circulating since last February failed to obtain sufficient number of signatures to place it on the ballot in November before the voters. That referendum proposed to create a citizen control of the police council that would have a complete administrative and management responsibility over the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police, but it would have eliminated the board. But it did not make enough signatures to get it on the ballot, so it is a non-issue right now. The prime group behind it was Stop the Station. You'll remember we invited them to come and speak to you last February, and at the last moment they declined to do so. If it's the board's pleasure, we'll be happy to extend an invitation to that group and ask them to come back in September or October's meeting to perhaps share with you why they felt it was necessary to pursue that option. I don't know that they'll come, but I think if they have something to say, that we ought to hear it, and we ought to try to meet their needs if it's all possible, rather than trying to, subvert the entire government structure. So if you wish us to do that, we'll be happy to do that. And just tell me September or October's meeting. Okay. I have
Well, Beth, I think it's important for us to reach out across the table.
Okay.
And we should be communicating with them, is my sense of it. So I'm in favor of inviting them to the meeting.
I was going to ask, are we going to have discussion on this now or wait till the report is done to have discussion on what Beth just proposed?
Yeah, well, since Beth brought it up, I think we should kind of finish that discussion.
Okay.
At this point.
I only wanted to add that I'm in agreement about the invitation, but I wanted to explore what other ways do we have to memorialize, other than the minutes, that there was this like intentional effort to try to hear that isn't precedent setting. So what I'm suggesting is people can come make comments and things will end up in our minutes. But I think too, like we already extended an invitation and they declined to come, and really trying to document that we're trying to be very sensitive and responsive to what they are, whatever they're trying to communicate. So, we're not averse to hearing from them, but I don't want it just to get lost as a line item. And I don't mean to minimize our minutes at all. But I do want, if this is going to cause some more churning in the community, I want to show that we were trying to be responsive to what they were requesting.
Thank you, Mr. Shelton, and that's exactly my position too. Mr. Green, you had your hand up.
Yes, I want to hear from them, but prior to like having them on the agenda in some way to do any sort of presentation for us, which is that what I'm hearing you say, Beth?
Yes.
Okay, prior to that, I would like to have them attend at least one of our meetings to see what we do. That's it.
That's a good suggestion, certainly.
We have noted in commentary, we're asked that we invited them, they didn't come, or they declined at the last minute. And so far as we were aware, have never attended or observed a board meeting in progress. So we don't know that they know what you do.
And here's the thing, our meetings are public. Any citizen can basically attend any of our meetings at any time. I would be eager to hear from people who have observed our work and then want to comment on how we can do better. But if you've not attended a single one of our meetings, I'm still willing to hear you, but frankly, I will hear you differently.
If we decide to go forward with this, are there parameters? For example, we can provide a list of questions to them that we would like for them to respond to. I think there needs to be some structure if they do come to the meeting. And they certainly know when we meet because it's public information.
Well, we understand that a professor of law at the University of Pittsburgh played a leadership role in this campaign. Perhaps we could reach out to him, Professor Dickinson, and ask if he would like to come and have that dialogue with the board. Perhaps he would be more inclined to recognize what your needs are in terms of hearing from this organized campaign, more so than perhaps the community activists alone. I don't know if that's crossing a line for you or not. I mean, we can certainly reach out and ask. Perhaps we could have the community as well as Professor Dickinson come.
I will reveal to the board that I sent an email to Professor Dickinson on July 6th, indicating to him that I was aware of what Stop the Station was doing and that I very much wanted to have a conversation with him to better understand their position. And he responded to my email last Friday, indicating that the email had gotten lost. So at least he read it and responded, even though he responded a month and a half later.
In his response, did he indicate willingness to meet?
Yes, he said he was willing to meet.
That was my question.
Mhm.
What
Yeah,
was his response?
he said that he apologized for being so late responding, that he had had a busy summer, but he was willing for us to have a conversation. So I
Well,
guess
Dr.
I would need to know whether or not if, if I can get to him to indicate that the board would like to hear more about what Stop the Station is doing, and maybe suggest that he could share with us the drive behind them organizing to eliminate the police review board.
I am aware that that group is having an update or a debrief basically tomorrow. And I think it's at 4:00 to review the movement that they created and the success that they enjoyed and how they can take that forward. I'm not so sure that I would be welcome to attend that meeting, but I do know maybe we can learn something from that. If it's a public event that was posted on Facebook, perhaps we could get some idea of what they're thinking about for the future in terms of molding some new campaign to create some other oversight. We're kind of dancing around the issue here out of respect, I suppose, but I just have to go on record and say to you, the board, that the work you have done over the last 25 years, it speaks for itself. And for people who do not know how you operate and what you have done, to just decide that they can eliminate you is highly offensive. You don't deserve that disrespect. And so I recognize we will extend that invitation, and we will certainly be respectful of what they see as the needs that we are failing to meet. Maybe have the discussion about why there are some things that are involved in the structure of government, like separation of powers, like Act 111, which everybody, I think consensus is, needs to be looked at by the legislature, but that's not a local matter that you can control, or that even for that matter, the administration can control. That there are issues that we could certainly work on as a unified effort from community concern, but that you can't just throw away government structure to subvert the government as it's established. And I admit, I am an institutionalist, and I still believe that there is a reason why things are established the way they are and why there are laws. And I'm not sure where this group, Stop the Station, stands on any of that, but we do know that what they attempted to do was to eliminate the Citizen Police Review Board that 25 years ago, the community coalitions worked very, very, very hard to establish, to which you have always been loyal to that legacy. So we'll reach out and see if we can make a connection and make the invitation. Perhaps Professor Dickinson would be willing to come and have that public discussion.
Beth, I appreciate what you just said too, and my suggestion or approval of them coming to just hear from them is not built on any concern about a challenge to what we do. And I'm not saying you suggested that. I'm saying I'm pretty confident about what the board represents and what it means for the city of Pittsburgh. And I say this with total 100%, like, I say this with deep in heart, like, I would not be on this board if I didn't believe in its mission. And I'm not saying that exempt from anybody in this room. We all are on here. And this is coming from somebody who was, I was under the guard and the guide of the police review board, now serving as a member of the board. So I say that because I think it's important for us. I'm not afraid of Stop the Station. I'm not concerned about what their efforts are. I really want to hear what it is that they think, what their intent is. And again, trying to understand them. Understanding does not mean agreement. And I don't have anything that signs on to agree with what they're suggesting or what they're trying to implement. But I do think we need to understand it for two reasons. One, for what we represent for our citizens, but two, I need to be able to articulate and have a better understanding other than just trying to reach out and communicate from a false footing. I'd rather have a firm footing about what I'm talking about whenever someone is asking about this initiative as compared to ours. And the best way to do it is to hear it directly from them if possible.
Sheldon, I agree with you 100%. And Ms. Pittinger, I agree with you 100% also. I am extremely concerned about the commentary that not our group, the group that's looking to debunk us or defund us or eliminate us, whatever term they want to use for it. I am concerned that they are uneducated in what we are and who we are and what we have done over the years. And this, hopefully someone from that group will be watching this, if not tonight live on YouTube. This is a call out. Start coming to the meetings, start learning about the group that you are so anxious to defund or to eliminate. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not quite as eloquent as Sheldon. But it's one of those things, you got to be here to know what we do. And if you're not willing to learn, you're another agenda. I feel that if you're not willing to learn all the aspects of what you're talking about, then you are just no better than a gossip monger. So they need to come out. They need to be at the meetings. They need to learn about us. Sorry, I went off tangent, but that's exactly how I feel.
Thank you. And what you're saying is critically important because clearly some of the points that they're making in their proposal are beyond what the board does. And the police union will surely have problems with it. And the union is already critical of some of what was in the referendum last fall. And that would change the whole structure of the police department and its hiring practices and its disciplinary procedures. So clearly they are putting together tenets of a board that would be very difficult to get acceptance for based on the structure that exists currently. Okay, so I think where we are is Ms. Pittinger, you will reach out to them and see whether or not they're willing to come to a board meeting.
Happy to do that, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments before we leave this discussion? If not, we'll move on to your presentation, Ms. Pittinger.
Okay, I'm going to try this. There we go. The proposal to expand is, when we initially spoke about it, it was a big effort for the first year. which was not very sensible. And so we backed up and we phased it in beginning in 2022. But for the members who weren't with us last month, I'll go through this quickly, but again, I believe you all received a copy of the proposal proper. We're proposing to create a community advocacy unit. And that unit will be the face of the board in and among the people of the community to establish an understanding of what the community is feeling towards the police, how the police are feeling towards the community, and generally the health of the relationship between the community and the police. We have talked tentatively about including a community wellness advocate who would essentially have some oversight of what the diversionary programs are, what kind of human services are being delivered in the neighborhoods. Are there obvious needs that police training could address among the officers? Looking at circumstances that may be creating a unhealthy environment that in turn attracts the attention of the police and then often leads to unpleasant encounters that we hear about in complaints. We also talk about creating a legal advocacy unit, which would include having a full-time in-house attorney on staff. That attorney would not be in place of nor perform CPRB solicitor services. Our solicitor will remain as a solicitor for the board, independent and concerned primarily with the matters that affect the interest of the board. This proposed lawyer would be available to help assess complaints that we receive in terms of being maybe running up on civil rights violations, conducting the legal research that may help guide us, as well as influence the development of policies and procedures that would be in turn shared with the Bureau of Police. They could help advise complainants, but not in terms of legal advice. But we often find ourselves explaining to people how you can go about filing a private criminal complaint, or why you should consider doing, some other option that may be available to the individual when they've had a problem. We're also looking at having someone with the ability to assess facts and determine if there's a question of public corruption, and then how to take that forward. Things that, we as non-legal professionals, we can't provide confidently the kind of information to people seeking it, or to you as related to complaints, as an attorney could. And this would also serve to be the special prosecutor for public hearings that would be prosecuted in front of a panel of board members. In order to support that position, we're recommending 2 paralegals to support the activities of that unit, including being able to provide internships and maintaining the continuity necessary to have placements that are worthwhile and valuable to interns, and to prepare cases that we would, if you recall, the referendum does have us referring people to the Human Relations Commission as a matter of routine, a matter of our regular practice, and having a paralegal available to support in those efforts. That's some of what we considered them for doing, the role of the paralegals. The investigative unit, we're recommending.
Pardon me, Ms. Pittinger, could you advance your slide so that they can see it?
Oh, isn't it moving?
It's not moving.
Oh, you're not seeing advanced investigations.
No, we're not.
Okay, well then.
That you have to share your screen at each
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, it's moving through on mine.
Okay, it's not.
Okay, well, that's
reshare.
okay. I'll just
Okay.
continue to, with the administrative unit, or investigative unit, we were talking in terms of adding an additional lead investigator to support the activities of our investigators that may require some liaison to another unit internally, or to work with the Human Relations Commission, whatever it may be. But those complaints that are a little bit complex and require a little bit more engagement with other resources, or again, interaction with the community advocacy unit or the legal unit, that could free up the investigators from being involved in things that are related but not directly related to a case under investigation, but they could benefit from information coming back but not have to spend all the time trying to track the information down. The investigators themselves, we are representing, or we're recommending, I'm sorry, we're recommending an additional investigator as well. And just as a matter of record for everybody to be aware of, our investigative unit, all of those individuals are credentialed as practitioners, certified practitioners of oversight. And they have to maintain that credential through annual in-services, training hours, et cetera, that they do receive annually through the National Association for Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement. An administrative unit, we're proposing an expansion to include a communication specialist who can handle our social media presence, can handle public notices and releases, can update and maintain the website so that it's always up to date. They can assist in scheduling and making presentations to community events and participate in those events. But somebody who has an expertise in communications so that you're well represented in a broad scope, and not just as we can just get you represented, but that it's guaranteed you'll be represented well on social media, the website, et cetera. We're recommending a research and development advisor whose job would be policy research, to assure that police policies and procedures and standard operating activities comport to best practices, as well as our oversight practices are consistent to contemporary best practices in the field. We often have requests from external researchers for information, and it's usually very extensive. And this position would be there to do those activities. And the referendum did recommend a performance audit partnership with the independent city controller. So we were thinking that we should include a performance auditor on staff who can assist with those activities in partnership with the controller when appropriate and necessary to conduct those audits of the Bureau of Police, but also to assist ourselves internally with quality control of our operations. Can help with our resource utilization, our data analysis, things of that nature. Now, to support this remarkably expanded endeavor, we're recommending 3 administrative support staff. And that's to assist with document prep, equipment maintenance, scheduling, employee support, but 1 support staff for the community advocacy unit, 1 support staff for the administrative unit, and 1 support staff for investigations. Right now, we do not have any support staff. Your staff consists of 5 of us. And as you know, our focus and our main mission has been to receive, investigate, and dispose of complaints related to police conduct, which sometimes includes public hearings, sometimes they don't. But all you have are 5 people. We need to develop a better presence in the community, and this is the way we think we might be able to do a good job by pursuing this expanded effort. Trying to get out of this here. I've got 3 screens going and I'm confused. So we, I don't know.
Don't feel bad, Beth. I have one screen and I'm confused.
Oh, but Mr. Green, I'm really confused because I can't get out of something here that I really don't want here.
We can see you, Beth, just so you know, we can't see your computer.
I understand. I understand. I just can't, I can't get rid of this, whatever it is. So we will just come back to this. Can you see this? The organizational design.
No, I was hoping you could show that because that would really help them to see the positions that you're hoping to start with and how you're going to merge them in.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to try to show this. Okay, I think we can see this one, right? This is the current organizational design. We have one vacancy in the investigator position. So this is it. And this is what we're proposing to go to. Is that showing the 2022 CPRB proposed organizational design?
Yes.
Okay, so you can see where we're significantly increasing and expanding on your presence in the community and the expertise that you are offering the community. The things that I just ran through, community advocacy, legal advocacy, investigations, and administration and support, are pretty core services. And when we reflect on the November election, the November referendum that was approved, these are the areas that the people directed us to pay more attention to. And without having, with this organizational design, we cannot possibly do to any degree of adequacy. We can't fulfill on your behalf the tasks that were given to you in November. So this is what we're offering or proposing. Here is the budget. Can you see the budget? Is that showing?
It's showing,
Yes.
but it's teeny. It's teeny.
Okay. It's teeny.
Just move the bottom, Beth, at the bottom where it says percentage, way at the bottom where you sit there.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Oh my gosh. That's the problem. Let me do this slowly. There we go. Almost. Right. Good. Good. Didn't lose anything. And we don't need anything at the top. That's just a heading. So you can see the phase in at the very bottom down here. For 2022, we're proposing to add the lead community advocate, 2 of our community advocates, 1 investigator, 1 communication specialist, and 1 administrative assistant. That would be an increase of 6 staff positions in 2022. 2023 slows down a little bit, adding 1 community advocate, which would wrap up the community advocacy unit, 1 resource and development advisor, and 1 community advocacy unit administrative assistant. And then in the 3rd year, the final year of the phase in, we'd be adding the attorney, paralegals, the community wellness person. And I said, we're kind of talking about that, but not quite committed to it, but we included it here as a possibility. The additional lead investigator liaison, the performance auditor, and 1 administrative assistant to support the investigative unit. So that's how we offered or proposed to phase it in. It's a lot, but so too is your obligation and responsibility. So this is what we're proposing to do to fulfill your mission as revised in November. And I would be happy to discuss it or answer questions. I know it's a lot and I had that little confusion there, so better off maybe just talking about it. If you were so inclined to adopt this, I would ask that you make that motion and vote on that tonight so that we can go forward to discuss this officially with City Council, the mayor's office, and anybody who's interested in it. City Council is on their annual summer break. They return, I think it's August the 20th. So the budget discussions that are underway now with the administration will also begin over with City Council in the near future. And we'd like to be able to talk about this as a realistic proposal that you are in agreement with.
Okay.
On the table, am I able to recommend that we take a vote on this now?
Yes, that's what's being proposed, correct.
Okay, I make a motion that we vote on this proposal for City Council.
I'll second.
It has been moved and properly seconded. Are there questions? Mr. Green?
It helps to unmute oneself.
Yes, it does.
I want to be sure that I understand the motion. The motion is simply to take a vote. It's not the actual vote itself, correct?
It's to take a vote, correct. To
Okay,
take a vote on the proposal.
okay.
Other questions?
I don't have a
Oh.
question, I have a comment. I reviewed the proposal prior to this meeting and to digest it. I think the approach is one that is personally acceptable, knowing that it has to go through navigate through a budget process. But I think the intent behind it is to try to address some of the need or the request that has been, or I would even say the challenge to us, as was represented in the referendum about us addressing these issues. So the second part is how well will the city accommodate what's being requested, which will have to go through its own, through its own channels. But I didn't have any real issues on the phase-in process, the intent behind it. I've always been semi-concerned about workload to the personnel that we have. We were, and I will say this, we were blessed to have a lower count of complaints just because of the coronavirus, really. I mean, but previous to that, we saw a decrease in the amount of complaints that were coming in as a result, just because of what was happening across the whole United States. But my point is, there's always been a concern about how well and how adequate are we really being able to address those issues as they emerge. So I didn't have any real reactions, nothing that really rose to the surface where I had any concerns about the proposal. I think the phase-in is a proper approach. And I just hope that we can, if it has to be more than a 3-year process, phase-in process, but at least we have a destination we can try to, or a target we could be moving towards.
Mr. Shelton, in regards to that 3-year process, during the planning meeting, it was suggested to us not to extend it beyond 3 years because of really getting lost in the channels within government. So that's the reason why Ms. Pittinger went with, well, one of the reasons she went with the 3-year phase-in. Any other questions? If not, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries. Now we can move to consider the actual proposal itself from Ms. Pittenger. So we need a motion to accept the proposal Ms. Pittenger has proposed so that she can begin working on submitting it and getting it through city council, et cetera.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
It has been moved and properly seconded. Are there questions about any aspect of the proposal itself? If not, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. No, opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. Okay,
Thank you,
So-
members.
yeah, so Ms. Pittenger, could you just review your next steps at this point?
Well, we will share this with, officially share it with the people responsible for the development of the budget in the Office of Management and Budget for the mayor's office. And distribute it to city council members for their consideration when they come back from vacation. What happens traditionally is the mayor will propose in his budget addressed to the city council an operating budget. City council then takes that and considers its own agenda items and conducts hearings of each department and entity that has an allocation to be made. And then they make their own decision with regard to accepting the mayor's budget or enhancing it or decreasing it, whatever it may be. And then ultimately the final budget is adopted by city council before the end of the year. But we have not had a budget hearing, so to speak, in a while. I fully expect that we'll have one this year. I think we have we have a great deal of interest from council members in terms of your ability to comply with the referendum of last November, because they recognize that there's a whole lot in there that, you know, you're kind of limited with your capacity. So they'll be embracing that, I believe, that you're offering how you can fulfill that mission. I guess our next step will be, like immediate step will be to have a consultation with our budget analyst from the mayor's office.
Okay, thank you. All right. Thank all of the board members for consideration of that very important proposal in terms of the future of the board and us actually being able to expand in a way that we are more effective in the community. All right, we have case reviews that we need to consider tonight. And at this point, we will look at the recommendations from the investigators. We have no public hearings. We have one case for a full investigation, and that is case 10421. May I have a motion for this case to move to full investigation?
So moved.
Dr. Gershio, Ms. McClellan, are there any questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries. We have one case for a 30-day extension of a full investigation, and that is case 06321. May I have a motion, please?
Make the motion.
Thank you. Second, Ms. McClellan. It has been moved and properly seconded. Are there any questions? If not, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and case 06321 moves to full investigation. We now have two that are unsustainable, and we can take these together if there's no opposition. We have case 24720 and 22520 to dismiss because they are unsustainable. Do I have anyone who's willing to make the motion?
So moved.
Okay, second,
A second.
Okay, it has been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor, aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries. We have one case that is unfounded, and that is case O-1921. May I have?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
may I respectfully interrupt and
Okay.
give you an update on this case?
okay,
You probably noted that it appears as unfounded as well as suspended.
that is true.
Yeah, the complainant has since requested to withdraw the complaint altogether.
Okay,
So I would ask that the board ignore the unfounded, to just remove it from the unfounded, disregard our recommendation in that regard, allow it to stay in the suspended status. And then in September, by then, we should have received the complainant's request to withdraw, and we will report back to you then.
okay. As long as we note that the board did not consider it because of the update of information in the minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, we still have one suspension for 07021. Okay. And the reason is that we're waiting for statements from OMI. So may I have a motion for 07021?
So move.
It has been second.
A second.
Okay, it has been moved and properly seconded. Are there questions? If not, all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries. And as usual, you do have the other continued suspension cases that we requested that we be given updates of. So the next 3 pages are those cases, and we can see that we're waiting for more information on most of them. Okay, those are the 2 items of business. Is there any other business that the board needs to consider tonight?
Madam Chair, I think that because of the lack of a quorum on July 27th, the board needs today to review the minutes that were prepared for the June 22nd,
Oh,
2021
okay.
meeting.
You're correct. You are correct. Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the minutes of, what was the date? June 22nd, the June 22nd meetings. Hopefully you were able to look at them from the package that you received.
Yeah.
Dr. Gershio?
So moved.
Ms. McClellan seconded. Oh, you have a question?
Yes, I believe
Okay.
minutes that we need to approve. You're right. You're right. The 6:22 minutes. I was looking at the date of the agenda. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Disregard.
Okay, so do you want to second her motion?
I will second.
Thank you much. Okay, it has been moved and properly seconded to accept the minutes of June 22nd. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries. Is there anything else, Mr. Ward, we need to take care of?
Not today, Madam.
Okay. All right, that concludes the business that was scheduled for tonight. Is there any other matter that any board member would like to bring up? If not, we generally don't have an August board meeting, so we look forward to seeing you on September 28th for the next board meeting. And if it's necessary for us to communicate with the board about anything at all, we certainly can connect with you at that point. Okay, a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the
I so
motion.
move.
Thank you, Mrs. And Ms. McClellan seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Take care, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your summer and what's left anyway.
Yeah,
And-
really.
Yeah, and be safe. Okay,
All right.
all right.
Thank
Good
you.
night,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. There we go. Thank you, Mr. Green.
Thank you, ma'am. Good night.
Good night. Whoa, stop. Okay.